So I'm so dumb because I recorded a video and there was no audio, so I have to. Oh my god. Okay, so basically, in a nutshell, all my life I've been trying to figure out what is my diagnosis, and it's basically kind of like part 2 of multiple complex developmental disorder. Please watch that video, please, or it's a song. It's called Multiple Complex Developmental Disorder and Cycloid Psychosis. Please listen to that, because this is basically a part 2. And this is also kind of a part 2 of the pros and cons of psychiatric diagnoses. Because I recorded the pros and cons of psychiatric diagnoses. I recorded that in 2023. I was still seeing a therapist at the time. Now it's 2025. I want to do a follow-up. Basically, it's a follow-up of those 2 videos. The pros and cons of psychiatric diagnoses and the multiple complex developmental disorder and cycloid psychosis video, song, whatever. This is just a follow-up to say, for me specifically, psychiatric diagnoses, I'm very hard to put into like a diagnostic box. Like, some people just get the same diagnosis or diagnoses each time, like autism or ADHD, right? Then there's people that get different diagnoses each time. And then there's people that get both. For me, I'm kind of both. I get the same diagnoses each time, autism and ADHD, but I get different things, different times, like schizoaffective, antisocial personality disorder traits, avoidant personality disorder traits. Schizotypal was like, someone was edging me with that being a possibility. And it's just, I get different fucking answers each time. Basically, I've been diagnosed. If you look at my medical history in its entirety, I'm basically an autistic, schizophrenic sociopath. Now, I've heard of autistic schizophrenics in the news. I don't want to talk about that. I've heard of autistic sociopaths in the news. I don't want to talk about that either. And I've heard of schizophrenic sociopaths in the news. I don't want to talk about that either. But to be an autistic, schizophrenic sociopath, really? That's very unlikely to be all 3. I mean, it's possible, but it's very odd, That's why I kind of just don't care about what you want to call me. Because I was supposed to go to therapy once again, and I bailed out because it's like, I'm going to get a different answer each time. I am my own god. Oh, that's narcissism. I am feeling depressed. That's depression. I'm a little bit hyperactive right now. That's ADHD. I'm depressive and hyperactive. That's bipolar. I get different answers each time. This is why I think I might have multiple complex developmental disorder and cycloid psychosis, because my psychosis, I've always had like on the edge of mild psychosis kind of basically all my life. Never really voices, but just kind of that schizotypal, cycloid psychosis kind of something, right? And then, later in my years of living, I did edibles and it started getting more intense, and it's like, well, fuck, maybe I am schizophrenic now because I'm starting to hear voices, even though I've always seen shadows, and stuff like that. But it's still not schizophrenia because I don't hear negative voices in my head or outside of my head. Well, actually, no, I do hear negative voices in my head, just not outside of my head. And it's like, what's the point? What's the point in going to a psychiatrist so they could try to fit you in the DSM-5 when I don't feel like that I do? And in fact, I don't. I'm not an Asperger person. Every single mental health disorder that I've ever received, almost every single one, has always been not otherwise specified. Not otherwise specified autism, PDD, NOS, whatever, pervasive developmental disorder, not otherwise specified. Not otherwise specified ADHD, not otherwise specified anxiety. So what's the point? I don't even believe I even have autism. I know it's a spectrum, but I never really had issues reading faces or body language. So I think I just have traits of autism, because I'm obsessive and I have some sensory issues, but not enough for it to impact my life, I don't think. For schizophrenia, again, I don't think that's what I have, because I don't hear degrading voices outside my head. Sometimes inside my head, but not outside of my head. It's not OCD though. You know what I mean? It's not OCD. It's not intrusive thoughts. Thoughts are different than voices, even if they're inside your head. So I'm kind of schizophrenic, but I'm more psychotic than I am schizophrenic though, because schizophrenia is more of like a negative version of psychosis. For me, it's not really negative, unless you count black shadows in the corner of my eyes. I've always had that. That was before the edibles. Again, the only time I ever had voices before edibles was hearing these muffled sounds outside of my head. But I don't know. I have a weird mental health profile. You know what I mean? And as far as sociopath, do I agree with that diagnosis? The anger and the lacking empathy, sympathy, and remorse for it, and manipulating people. But manipulating people, a lot of the times when I do it, it's unintentional. You know, but sometimes it is intentional. But there's a reason, though, and it's very valid. Like, look at what you've done. Look at what you and your people have done to me. Like, guilt-tripping people. Some people deserve that. Some people deserve a lack of remorse and empathy. And, you know, some people do. Like, your bullies, why would you have empathy, sympathy, and remorse for your bullies? For people that harass you, why would you? Well, if it was an innocent person, yeah, then that's you being a sociopath. But I don't know. I don't really agree with the sociopath diagnosis, you know, the antisocial personality disorder, you know, that's kind of just stigmatizing for me. I don't tell compulsive pathological lies, you know, it's not like I'm saying that my name is Joseph and I caught a fish this big and I have a very successful life. I make this amount of money, you know, and I have all these trophies. It's not like that. I don't make big lies about my life, you know, I don't do that. I do little white lies, but who the fuck doesn't? And I mostly tell the truth most of the time, so I don't really agree with the sociopath diagnosis, antisocial, or whatever. I have traits of autism and schizophrenia and being a sociopath, but I don't think that I'm all three. I don't fit the criteria, you know, basically. I'm probably gonna end this. Because the last time I tried recording this, the microphone was muted. Maybe it's good because that was too long of a video. Basically, this is just a follow-up of the pros and cons of psychiatric diagnoses, because when I recorded that originally, it was when I was still seeing a therapist. I had no idea that would be a shit show, because that therapist in 2023 gave me no diagnosis at all, and then another therapist in 2024 did, but he only wanted to talk about autism and my low IQ of 74 and my math disorder, dyscalculia, blah, 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 blah. I don't know how you pronounce it. But he didn't want to talk about schizo, though. Right, crash. None of them did. Actually, the dude in 2023 and the dude in 2024 didn't want to talk about the schizo, because only one doctor said I was schizoaffective, and then another one was edging me on the possibility of having schizotypal personality disorder. Right, crashed in those two dudes, in 2023 and 2024. Because schizoaffective was mentioned in 2020. What am I trying to say? Schizoaffective was mentioned in 2015, and schizotypal was mentioned in 2017. So when I tried to bring it up, what do you think? Am I on the schizophrenia spectrum? And when I mentioned it to the dude in 2023 and the dude in 2024, they didn't want to hear it. They kind of just derailed the fucking topic. It was very odd. Well, the dude in 2024 did mention it a little bit. He's like, oh yeah, schizotypal, yeah, schizoaffective, yeah. Well, that's not why you're here. We're here to talk about you have autism, you have blah, 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 blah. And it's just like, what the fuck? You know? I'm an autismo-phrenic sociopath, if that's even a thing, apparently. This is why I'm kind of just done with labels. I mean, again, there's people that get the same diagnosis or diagnoses each time, like autism and ADHD. Like, there's a lot of people on Twitter where it's just the same stuff all the time, or depression, anxiety. No matter how many doctors they go to, that's the diagnosis they get each time. Then there's people that get different diagnoses each time, like depression, anxiety, OCD, oppositional defiant disorder, bipolar, or whatever. And then there's people that get kind of both. For me, like I said, I'm both. There's some stuff that stay the same, and then there's some stuff that just fucking changes. I don't know. So yeah, I've always been a little bit schizophrenia spectrum, but I've always been, my biggest traits have always been weird beliefs and visual hallucinations, and a little bit of muffly sounds that are outside of my head, embedded within real noise when I was in my early 20s, but I wasn't doing edibles back then. But when I started doing edibles, like I said, and when I was 29 years of age, is when the voices outside my head started getting more fully formed and detailed. And the ones inside my head, I think they've always been with me. I just always thought they were loud thoughts. But yeah, the ones inside my head are more negative, or, you know, a little bit neutral. And then those are the ones inside my head. The ones outside my head are positive or neutral, which is weird. That's not schizophrenia. It's not, they don't tell me. And they're very muffled or silent, they're not loud and screaming or normal volume. They're not outside my head. They're not, and they're not screaming, berating me 24/7. So I don't know, something. That's why it's the cycloid psychosis, because it gets worse and it gets better on its own. You know what I mean? That's why I'm kind of just like, I don't care about psychiatric diagnoses anymore for me. Therapy doesn't work for me. I mean, I'm kind of an outlier case. I'm kind of a rare case for mental health, and it's okay if you don't relate to this, but this is just my opinion of, I don't care about my psychiatric, I don't care about my mental, I don't know what you want to call it. I don't care about my diagnoses for mental illness, mental health, psychiatry. I don't care what you want to call me, Therapy doesn't work for me. It's because they can't fix me. I think therapy is not supposed to fix you. That's the thing. I've come to the conclusion this year that I think the reason why therapy is not working for me, at least, for me at least, I think the reason why therapy is not working is because I expect it to fix me. For all the people that tried to fix me, just in a general sense, doesn't have to be, because I used to know somebody on the internet that tried fixing me. If you Google, what is it? Sorry if you hear me moving. It's not recommended to try to fix somebody. If you Google fixing someone, or I want to fix him, or I want to fix her, if you Google that, there's a lot of information that say that you should not try to fix somebody. The only, psychiatrists kind of fix you in a way, because they give you medication. They're not curing you, but they're trying to treat you. Therapists are kind of different. Therapists, the whole point of therapy is they give you advice, and you got to take that advice and work with it, all these years I thought I was doing it one-sidedly. I was expecting them to solve all my problems, and I'd sit back, relax, put my feet up, and do nothing, basically, in a nutshell, metaphorically. And it only dawned on me recently that that's not how therapy is supposed to go, and that's probably why it went wrong, because I wasn't doing the work, you know what I mean? That's probably why therapy doesn't work for me, because they're not supposed to fix you. They're not supposed to fix you 100%, you know what I mean? They fix you a little bit with advice, and then you gotta fix yourself and finish yourself off sexually. Not sexually, just joking. You know what I mean? You gotta take in the advice and work with it, you know what I mean? It's kind of like, it is kind of like mutual masturbation, kind of, in a way. It kind of is, metaphorically. You know what I mean? It can't just be them that does it, and it can't be just you that does it. Metaphorically speaking, you gotta basically jack each other off. You gotta jerk each other off, metaphorically speaking. You gotta wank each other off, metaphorically speaking. It's a give and take kind of a thing. It's a giving and receiving kind of a thing. It's a power dynamic. It's a dominant submissive kind of a thing. If one dude is doing his own thing and you're not, then it's what's the point of therapy? It's this is all metaphorical, what I'm trying to say. You know what I mean? But yeah, that's probably why therapy never worked for me, because I expected one magical dude or one magical woman, superwoman, superman, to solve all my problems, as if I'm a child or something like that. And that's not how therapy works. So yeah, and just for advice for people in general, that's not professionals. If you're trying to fix your friend or your relationship partner, you can't fix him, you can't fix her. You have to give them advice, and then they have to take it. And if they don't take it, then It is what it is. You gotta fix yourself for the most part. In some situations, you gotta fix yourself totally. Like, you know what I mean? So, yeah, that's probably why therapy doesn't work for me, I guess.